Mobile truck simulator games have really improved over the years, but there are many others which we left behind as memories. That brings us to this video, because we are taking a trip down the lane to explore some of the most iconic truck simulator that have unfortunately faded into the past. These games once had us behind the wheels and delivering goods, and some of them were never released. So join us as we revisit these classics mobile truck simulator games. The first game here is Truck Delivery by Ovilex Software. We all know that back in the OG days, Ovilex games were one of the best, and this truck delivery game was released by Ovilex in 2012, making it their first ever mobile truck simulator game. The game was trending back in 2012 and 2013, and I could clearly remember when I used to play it on my old Samsung J7. And it is no doubt that this game was part of my childhood, and I really miss the time me and my friends spent together playing it. Old days are truly fun. The second game here is Truck Simulator Easton Road. This game is an unreleased game that unfortunately we never got to play. The game was in development from 2020 and 2021, when we got a message from the developer saying that he needs to pause the game development due to his health issues. And until today, there is not trace of him. And his last message was about his health issues, which till now we don't know if he passed out or not. And in case you don't know, this game has lots of features and potential that was supposed to make it to the level of top truck simulator games. But unfortunately, after waiting for this masterpiece, the works and all efforts ended along the road, with developers last seen on May 13th, 2021. So this is truly a game that we would have been playing, and all of a sudden, it went into a big silence. This has led many people to question if the developers are still with us, or no more. The next iconic game here is Truck Simulator 3D. This game was released in 2013 by Ovilex Software, and it is one of the games that made part of our childhood memories. Back then, this graphics was like another world to us, and the game seems to be very realistic to us, back in the good old days. The game was part of the second set of Truck Simulator games released on mobile, and I could remember clearly how I played this game all day. After coming back from school, I mean, it was really fun in those times, and only real OG players will understand how those days felt. Like literally, if we're to turn back time to these days, when nothing seems to bother us, like every day we wake up, eat, play games, sleep, and do the same thing over and over. Life was absolutely fun back then, and I salute every one of you who understand the joy of these days. The next iconic game here is the Grand Truck Simulator 1. I mean, this game is not only a game but an emotion. It's one of the first games released by Pulsar Gamesoft. And back in 2015, the game took a big lead, making it popular from 2015 to 2017. Back in those days in my Samsung J7, I could play this game and many other games in high graphics without any glitch. And Grand Truck Simulator was a real deal back in 2015, and it were part of the few legendary games that certainly every OG's players could remember. Grand Truck Simulator is in fact considered to be an iconic game that we would never forget. And I believe true OGs played this game back in the good old days. I mean, 2015 was really fun. Now that same year, Wanda Software entered the market by releasing their first truck game, Truckers of Europe 1. The game was called Truck Simulator Europe back then, and it was in 2022 that they later changed the name from Truck Simulator Europe to Truckers of Europe. The game also got trend back then, and it has all the nostalgia environment, and it is one of the living legends that you can still find on Play Store. So Truckers of Europe 1 was really an awesome game back in those days, and I just wished we can go back to those times. The satisfying thing back in those days is that you don't have to wait to get updates. All the games are fully made and you can just play and enjoy your game. Life was awesome back then. The next iconic game here is the Euro Truck Driver by Ovalex. Released in the same year 2015, Euro Truck Driver was the first truck games I got addicted to. Back then, it got so popular that all my friends in school were also playing it. The game was trending from 2015 to like 2018. And Ovalex noticed how good people liked it, and then they decided to release the 2018 version of the game, which is the Euro Truck Driver 2018, which I would later showcase. The real OGs know that Ovalex games were really enjoyable in those days, and I really appreciate their efforts on creating this great masterpiece. The next iconic game here is Heavy Truck Simulator by Dynamic Games. The game was developed and published by Dynamic Games and was later sold to Deha Studio. This game was released in 2016, and back then the graphics was really unmatched. It was the first mobile truck game that came with a new generational graphics back in those days. Back then, other game developers started gaining interest in truck simulator games, and some started working on their games while other developers started looking on how to make their own truck games ahead of others, because it started turning to be a competition in those times. The next iconic game here is Truck Simulator USA Revolution. These was one of the game released by Ovalex Software back in 2017, and I could also remember when it was first released. I tried it and it was awesome back then. In those times, the game tends to have new generational features that we were so surprised to see in the game. Ovalex made me love Truck Simulator so much that I always play every of their new games. Now the next iconic game here is Truckers of Europe 2. released in 2018 by Wanda Software, which is their second truck games after the first Truckers of Europe. The game gained more playtime and became a trend back in 2018 and 2019, and later became many players' favorite. The next iconic truck game here is the Grand Truck Simulator 2. This game is a legendary game released in 2018, which has gained many players' heart with its realistic truck mechanism. Grand Truck Simulator 2 was many people's childhood game, and anytime we are talking of an iconic games, all OGs know that the Grand Truck Simulator 2 is a living legendary game that we all have played. The next iconic games here is the World Truck Driving Simulator. This one is also part of the game which many players played during 2018, 2019, and it is still available till now. So after Dynamic Games sold their first game, which is the Heavy Truck Simulator back in 2015, then few years later the World Truck Driving Simulator game was released. So, which of these games made your childhood experience? And if there's any other one you played back then, let me know in the comments and subscribe for more videos.